And we are live, folks. 6:50 in the PM, October 24th, 2020. Hello, folks. How you doing? We're getting ready to do the Grand Slam Wrestling match of the week on a live stream. Usually I do my live streams at 7:30, but I'm going to try to get my other projects at least a live stream before the end of the year. Do OOTP live, do Franchise Hockey Manager live, and just get these other projects live and get them the exposure that other projects get. And I am just moving a few things around, bringing my live chat over here. So, while I wait these 8.5 minutes out, how did I get started in watching wrestling? Well, best I could figure, it was July of 1976. And I think by that point I was already starting to watch wrestling with my father, who was a meat cutter for first up in the Northeast with A&P, and then he came down here and worked for Publix for many years. And we would watch the wrestling matches on WTOG channel 44 here in Tampa. And I remember the Montreal Olympics were going on, and I was 4 years old, and it was the famous angle they did in Florida between Steve Keirn and Bob Roop, where Roop basically took the position that Donald Trump copied right before with John McCain saying, well, he couldn't have been a good soldier. He was talking about Steve Keirn's father, who was a Green Beret and was captured in Vietnam. And they would say, well, he couldn't have been a good soldier because he got caught. And I think now this was long before I knew what a Green Beret was or a Vietnam was. Remember, I was 4. But what I do remember was Steve Keirn jumping over the podium to attack Bob Roop. You don't see what's going on underneath the podium. Papers go flying. And Gordon Soley's trying to get order restored, as he was often called upon to do. And that's how it started. It got me hooked. And watching something like that, a guy flying over to get at another guy when you're 4 years old, choreographed or no, that's kind of shocking. So that's how it all began. And this was back in the era where Channel 10, which was then the ABC station, it's now a CBS affiliate, WTSP, was then WLCY, would they'd either have Gordon interview somebody for a half hour and show you highlights for the remaining half hour. They had the 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock segment on Sunday, and sometimes they preempted whatever sporting events were going on ABC in that era. So Howard Cosell had to wait for wrestling to get over with. If he had a good fight to show us all, or ABC had a good fight to show us all, and they the next day they ran the same angle, and I knew to get into the other room because they were showing the exact same tape of Steve Keirn jumping and getting at Bob Roop, and that's how it all began. And I think I watched CWF up until they closed their doors and got swallowed up by Jim Crockett in '87, and then they revived it in 1989, but they didn't have the NWA affiliation, and they went out of business real quick when Gordon moved over to TBS in Atlanta, and they gave him another shot there. So I don't watch a lot of it now because first off, the WWE and the AEW they can't draw crowds because you can't go to the matches. Maybe WWE just got started with the restrictions in some states for social distancing, but WWE and AEW, you can't draw a crowd because nobody's allowed to go to these events. I would think still now. I haven't been paying attention to it too closely. And a lot of the guys who were stars back in the turn of the century are now like up around 50. Um, I just think that the future of wrestling looks rather bleak And it might depend on who becomes the President of the United States in a couple of weeks. I think if the current occupant of the White House gets 4 more years, I think you're going to see everything open back up and everything return to normal. I think if the challenger manages to win, I think you're going to see a big change in how the wrestling business does. I think the biggest opposition WWE could face is if somebody started up a bunch of regional territories like the NWA did back in the day. If they just said, okay, we're gonna have to do like every little couple of states, maybe like 6 regional outlets, like maybe Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, the Middle South, the Mid South, as they used to call it back in the old day, and maybe the Northwest and the Southwest, like Los Angeles, and we had Phoenix, and maybe like west of the Rockies, but in the southern states of the Southwest. Somebody was able to put an NWA like circuit back together again, then I think they would be able to compete with the NWA, where you have 6 strong, regional guys, regional franchise guys, because I think that's the way you could beat the NWA, and that's how they were able to keep even keel with the WWF for a long time. Is they had a star here, a star there, a star here, a star there, whereas the WWE, which then the WWF, they just had one champion, one circuit, and then by the mid 80s the circuit went all over the country and just swallowed everybody whole because they could buy all the talent. So I think if somebody could bankroll, say, you have one big circuit covering 6 areas of the United States, maybe, go to other countries like Canada, Japan, Mexico, Europe, and you do it that way. As my phone rings, I'm sure it's people wanting to know who I want to vote for, but I don't tell them. I don't even tell you guys. So we're down to 2 minutes to go. I have brand new headphones because I have a new work at home job coming up, and it wound up being the same exact headphones that I had already had and had for a little over a year. So hello to all of you tuning in. This is a little talk up I do before all my live chats, and I'm incorporating into all my other videos where I just give you my thoughts and the liner notes. And if you want to see the actual match itself, queue up another minute and 25 seconds. We'll go over the title changes. We had a couple this past week 47 in GSW Year 3. We're going to implement some changes for Year 4. We're going to get rid of the regional circuits, and we're going to go like a promotion relegation system like European soccer has, and I'm also going to be changing the ratings. And if you've been following GSW, I do this quite frequently. I think I have found a new system that I'm going to implement at the end of Year 3 to start Year 4 with, and I would tell you about it, but it would take longer than the 45 seconds I have left before we start up this video. So hope you are all well this Saturday night. We'll get you out of here before the World Series game begins, I would think. I already have the 2 grapplers in the ring, and after telling you about the card and telling you about the title changes we had in GSW this week, we will start. Stand by, folks. Big Paulie's World of Sports Sims proudly presents the Grand Slam Wrestling Match of the Week. It is a return match from one of the earlier matches we did doing Grand Slam Wrestling videos. It is Farmer Burns and it's Bert Assirati. Year 3, Week 47. We're in Indio, California, just outside of Los Angeles, for this championship match. Earlier in the week, or since we were last with you, we've had a couple of title changes. One occurred on this very card. For the Northern Tag titles, the Southern Rockers, Steve Dahl And Rex King defeated Jado and Ghetto to win the the Northern Tag Team titles back. And just on this card, Bobby Shane and Bubby Colt are the brand new Western Conference champions, Western Tag Title champions. Shane and Buddy Colt, they defeated Antonio Inoki and Giant Baba. So with that, we will show you the card that took place. We had some dark matches. Alex Shelley and Gamma Singh opened it up, and it was Shelley by DQ in 10 minutes and 40 seconds when Singh attempted to injure Shelley's arm. Was injured slightly, but he'll be back in time for next week's bouts. Billy Two Rivers and Kola Coriani went to a 20-minute draw. First time we've seen Kola in a little bit. He was one of our founding 48 grapplers, singles grapplers, when GSW began 3 years ago. We did a 6-week season, and then we have done 3 years since then, nearing the end of year 3. Nick Bockwinkel comes back. He defeated Ricky Morton, who is not with Robert Gibson. He's a singles competitor here for the moment. Bockwinkel won with a pile driver in an even 13 minutes. Then we got to the regular card itself. And in the opener, it was the Hells Angels and the Pitbulls. The Angels win by countout at 5:18. Giant Haystacks pulled off an upset with the aid of Gary Hart, and you see him over here. Not the Gary Hart, the politician that John Denver wrote a song about, but Gary Hart, the wrestler, who later became a manager. It was Haystacks over Mascaras, 8:55 with illegal punches. Paul Jones, number 1 Paul Jones, defeated Chris Benoit, 9:47 with a countout. The Kalmakoffs win by countout over Wahoo McDaniel and Scott Casey. Scott Hall defeated Mitsuharu Misawa, and that took only a minute 24, a forearm right to Misawa's nose. Fishman lost to Dick the Bruiser, atomic knee drop, 19-14. Then we had the aforementioned title change, Inoki and Baba losing to Bobby Shane and Buddy Colt. Tiger Mask tried very hard and fought a valiant fight against Big Van Vader, but Vader was just too big. He wins by pin with clothesline at 30 minutes and 2 seconds in a 3.5-star match. And we have our championship match all set up. Farmer Burns, who's been champ now 73 weeks, he will defend against Bert Assirati. Assirati also managed by Gary Hart. Just the way things worked out, that Gary Hart took an interest to the Haystacks and takes an interest to Bert Assirati. British shooter, was known for taking liberties in the ring in the British wrestling era of the post-World War II. And we will get this match started. Vog is saying Farmer Burns should retain in a championship match. And he's been champion so long, you never know what will trip him up. And Assirati is one of these guys who could. It's a one-fall, 60-minute time limit match. Assirati must pin or make Burns submit within the 60 minutes before he is pinned or submitted or any other result occurs. And we'll get the match underway. A throat chop countered by Burns. Nobody gets damaged. Legal elbow by Burns, but that was countered by Bert Assirati. Headlock by Assirati, and that scores the first damage of the match. Burns taking a 5-point deduction. Assirati slows the pace down, another headlock, and that's 5 more points of stamina off of Burns. Pinhold by Assirati, but you will not get him here. Submission move, Assirati, which was countered by Burns. Legal leg hold by Burns, the first hold scored by Burns. That's 8 points off of the Islington Hercules. Specialty move, chicken wing, nothing there. Not going to get Assirati to submit. Illegal choking by Burns. No action, no action. Illegal speed move by Burns. That's a stamina reduction of 6. And now Assirati about 20 points down on stamina. And he's 20 points down from losing some stamina. Legal arm hold by Burns. but Assirati counters. Assirati ally turns on him and attacks him. Ooh, giant haystacks maybe? Can't miss him. And Assirati is busted open. His giant haystacks turned on Assirati. Oh, goodness me. And that's a cut of 40 points. We do not know. In the old versions of Wrestling Finest, 90 points would be a stoppage of the fight, but in version 3, you do not know when the fight will be stopped, or the bout will be stopped. Punches by Assirati, 5 points off, but he's got to be thinking about other things right now. Illegal punches by Assirati, illegal elbow by Assirati, illegal forearm by Assirati, no action. Illegal turnbuckle move by Assirati. Illegal throw countered. Strategy card used and countered. Strategy card used and encountered again by Assirati. Action outside the ring. Burns throwing Assirati outside the ring. And Assirati is already down a stamina level. And he loses 10 points. The stamina damage count right now, minus 41 for Burns, minus 125 for Assirati. And you want to be close to 0 as you can, but you will continuously lose points. Illegal leg hold by Burns countered. Illegal neck hold by Assirati. And that's 5 points worth of damage. Auto control loss by Assirati. Submission. I'll just run it here, but you're not going to get him there. Full Nelson roll, and Burns retains. Burns retains his heavyweight championship, and it was Gary Hart, we'll call him the ally at ringside, and he whacks Burns outside the ring, and Assirati is DQ'd for outside interference in a very weird match where first, it was giant haystacks attacking Assirati, and then Gary Hart kind of sabotages Assirati. So I imagine Assirati might be headed for a turn, if you will, maybe to tweener and maybe to face. It was a disqualification, and the time of the bout was 10 minutes even. It was a 3-star match. Lick or fate, it really does not matter, as Farmer Burns will walk out of the ring today, remaining the world champion. So I'm going to make a note of that. Very strange match. And they were playing with Assirati's head, Gary Hart and Giant's Haystacks. And it didn't seem like they wanted him to win the championship. So we'll put Burns retains by DQ. And BA will lose 1 point, 1 ranking point to 16. And the match went an even 10 minutes. Gary Hart interferes. Started off with Giant Haystacks interfering, which came to a surprise to everybody. And that was 46 points off of Burns and 145 and a 40-point loss of cuts by Assirati, and I'll finish the rest after I do this live stream. Let's see if there was a post-match attack, and there was not, of consequence. So that's your match, folks. Hope you all enjoyed it. We will be back next week with another edition of the Grand Slam Wrestling Match of the Week. This has been Big Paulie coming to you. We wish you well, no matter where you are and when you see this. Godspeed and God bless, and we'll